All right, guys. Morning. It is Sunday. We were supposed to race today, but they called it off. We raced yesterday. I ran Index. I ran Pro. You're gonna want to listen to this one because this is where I'm going to talk about the whole sick week issues and everything that went on. But we went racing yesterday, and we went 2 rounds in Pro. And then we went into the semifinals for Index. So I believe I actually got a little bit of money for me waiting at the gate. Pay for my next race at least. But they called it out for today. And yesterday I was like borderline heat stroke. I usually don't eat breakfast or eat very, very light. And I was falling apart between scrambling to cool the car down, putting the blower fans on it, and then I realized that's not going to work. So, I decided a different tactic because where we pit over at the part of the track, it ends up coming up to about like a half a mile drive on top of your quarter-mile pass. So you're putting some heat in the car. Not that the car can't run, but I have a certain temperature I like to run the car at. And to do that, especially on a day like yesterday, it is rough. If you can tell, my voice is fucking gone. And that's from the sick week experience. Not being sick, just talking over the loud race car. But it was rough. I mean, I was trying to keep the car cool myself off. There were some moments there where I'm like, I should probably just go home. But we were going rounds and we were in it to win it. And probably did not make the smartest choices, but we're here. We're not dead. Yesterday, after the ceremonies on Friday, I came home, slept here, woke up, felt great, wasn't tired, no fatigue, no nothing. Today, I feel absolutely battered, and that was just from yesterday because at this point, we've been on the racetrack or racetracks and on the road for 7 days, a full 7 days of just race cars and fuckery. So anyway, we started our weekend off running the 7.0 Index at the MKE. I told my buddy, hey, dude, it's half hour before last call to sign up on the MKE. How far out are you? And he's like, 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to sign you up. And he's like, I got to unload the car. I'm like, I'll help you. We'll get it. We're not the first class. We're going to be like one of the last classes. We'll have time. So we did all that. And he went to the finals in that category. I went up against him, and he took me out with a slightly better tree. It was our first time running a 4/400ths tree, and we were cutting like 150 lights. That was pretty good. And usually we run a 500ths tree for our regular Index program. And when I run Pro, that's a sportsman tree. My buddy doesn't run Pro. So that's how our whole sick week started, actually. That was our test date because it gave us an opportunity to run the car and shake it out. And then Sunday came along, and it was a shit show. They didn't get done with tech until like 2 or 3. Our class had over 130 cars to begin with, I think, or something like that, 114 for the DYO, which is dial your own, and I think it's broken down into 3 classes. And also, some cars in our class were for smaller designation classes, like the Gassers versus Beetles, which was a really cool class, I thought. We made our test run, and, the weather was not good to us. We had some issues. So Sunday night, because on Monday the whole thing starts, and you get a couple of stabs at it, and then you can get into the all-run. Well, we had to hand in our best slip, and our best slip for the day was an 11:38, which was way off. He thought the car was hurt somewhere. I'm like, no, the weather's just bad. But we do got some tune issues. So we hit the road. We ended up camping at my friend's place in Union Grove, Wisconsin. Treated us well. We camped in his backyard. We went over the car. We survived the miles. And from there, it was just a 10-minute trip out to Union Grove. Because once we hit our checkpoint of Lake Geneva, you can take whatever way you wanted to go out to Union Grove. So we went straight down 50 and went over my buddy Dave's. which you guys have probably seen the Edelbrock versus Iron Cylinder Head video that's up. That's my buddy Dave. He's a Cylinder Head guy. And so we get to Union Grove, and that car was on a mission. We ran early in the morning. We were the first class that day versus the last class on Monday. And 11:27. So that's no good because that's too fast. We have to stay as close as we can to that 11:38 with an 8. So we go make our last pass, and my buddy throws the anchor down at 11:40 with a 2. All right, cool. That closes up our window. That's cool. So then we're on the road. We're going to Cordova, but in the process, we have to go past Cordova to go to the Motion Works Raceworks checkpoint. And that actually takes us about, it was at the Motion Race, let me go back. I think it was the Motion Raceworks because we went out of our way, and then that was when so we got a hotel in Clinton, Iowa, and this is where it turned into a shit show. We're in Clinton, Iowa. There was supposed to be availability, but there was no availability. And so we are on the road trying to get as much self-service as we can and find a hotel. Well, we found one in Geneseo, Illinois, which is 30 miles south of Cordova. So we already are like way into Iowa. We were in DeWitt, Iowa. And then we had to go into Geneseo, Illinois. So we logged on I think an extra 50 or 60 miles in our route because of that. But we were at a nice hotel. It wasn't very expensive. It was actually really cheap. And we didn't have a single complaint like all the other racers because they booked the hotels that the event suggested. So we kind of went out of our way to, one, have a little bit safer place to stay, and two, no worries about anything. We were able to back up the car to first floor hotel, left the windows open, and we could see the car, and it was parked right there. And I mean, it says a lot about the town when everything in town is shut down by 8. We were eating at a Culver's because it was the only thing open till 10. You figure there's a truck stop right there. They should be open later because, truckers roll in late. Now this town was shut down at 8. So anyway, get to Cordova. The D group ran and it started to rain, and we gave it some time because you can't leave until they call it. So we were stuck there for another hour or two before they said, all right, hit the road. So we're putting the car back in race mode in the rain, which we had down to the science by now. So to go from street mode to race mode, and that's including all the luggage and everything, swapping tires, putting the exhaust on, we had it down to about 45 minutes. And the extra 25 minutes was setting up our camp for the day, the canopy, the sun blocker, the blowers. And that was a huge, huge fuck yes that we brought them because it came in handy. So after Cordova, we hit the road. We hit our checkpoints, but we're driving through Galena, all the hills and the little swervy dips and everything, and we're getting some pretty bad rain. We missed the really, really bad rain, into Dubuque, and that was when we were going to Motion Raceworks. I forgot about that part. So we're driving down the hill right before the bridge over to Dubuque, and we lost our windshield wipers somewhere along the road. The arm came off the motor, but we didn't know it at that time. But we lost our switch coming out of Hoopies. So that was one of the stops, the biker bar. And so we fixed the switch, and I am staying on track here actually, because so we left there. It was a bunch of rain. I think we had 2 casualties that both stayed in it along the route because of the rain. And we also ran over a turtle that I think the car may have gone airborne on because it's low. But so we lost our wipers. The switch literally broke right as we're checking into the checkpoint. So we go into town. There's a Napa. Put a new switch on it. Cool. We're good. By the time we're getting closer to Iowa, the rain is really coming down, so we left the wipers on constant. Well, my buddy had it zip tied on there, and the zip tie eventually got hot, melted, and broke. Well, we pull into this gas station because the windshield is absolutely fogged, and I know that once we hit the bridge, it's a crapshoot because there's going to be gridlock at the bottom of the bridge, and if you can't see shit, that's not good, especially in that scenario. So we ended up pulling into this little Phillips 66, which, another mistake, we should have gotten 93 there before we left, but we didn't. So we pull in. We had to take the hood off to get to the wiper assembly, and we checked power everywhere, everything's good. The motor was still working, so that's when we figured out it was the arms. So at the same time, I'm kind of going over the car and I'm realizing that there's water puddled up all over the intake on top and all the crevices because we didn't block the air scoop. And my buddy's like, no, it's not a problem. And I, of course, I'm like, dude, I don't care at what rate you're running shit. I'm like, you don't want any water in there. We're steam cleaning the valves pretty good, but I can hear it in the exhaust tone. So at that same time, Steve Morris pulls in with his Boostmaster wagon. They luckily had tape and we had tinfoil, so we made a blocker out of tinfoil. I wrapped up some foil, put it in the air cleaner to keep the water out, and that got us to Motion. Actually, that got us into Dubuque, not Motion. Dubuque was before Tri-State. Motion was for Cordova. We got rain all over the fucking place between Cordova and I'm getting it mixed up here. My brain's a little fried, but I'm telling you about the adventures in the road. So we're crossing over to Dubuque. Kind of stops raining. We pull over. We get some Buffalo Wild Wings because it was convenient. There's a farm fleet. We needed some camping stuff because after Cordova, we're going to Tri-State. And the night was going to be nice, so we decided to camp out. And it was a great idea because Tri-State was a beautiful track and a fast one at that. The car was trucking all day. And I think we got an 11:40. I forgot what it was, but after that day, our spread between our slowest, which was our first pass of the day, our fastest, which was our first pass of the week, and our slowest, we were down to an 0:34 spread, which put us in 7th place out of over 100 cars. I forgot the exact number. And then from there, so we're headed home, man, but not without our checkpoints. So from there was no real issue. We were trucking. The car was just hauling ass, and we built a hell of a car. So I've known Tim for over 20 years. We've been friends since high school, maybe even before high school, because I started skateboarding in middle school, and you kind of got to meet friends from the different skate parks in town and just whatever. So we just stopped in Rock Falls. And then from there, it was Byron, and we rolled into Byron after 10 o'clock and camped out and set up our tent. The Australians ended up parking next to us because they were trying to get good pit spots. And they just squeezed in. I'm like, no, it's fine, dude, squeeze in. And next thing you know, they're hanging out in our camp, and we actually helped them out. Somebody gave them some bad fuel. They confused E85. They had methanol in that E85 can, and they put it in there, and the guy who sold them the fuel actually blew up his engine because of that fuel, and they didn't know it just yet. So he goes to make a pass, it's banging and popping, and he pulls it over, coasts it down, does what he's supposed to do at the racetrack. And so he's asking where he can get E85, and I'm like, the track sells fuel. He's like, what? The track sells fuel? Because the VP fuel truck had already left. So he goes into the one of the vendor shacks that the track has, the concession stands, one of them, the gift store, and they had the 85. So he comes back running with 2 5-gallons, and he's like, oh, thank you, mate. I'm like, well, this is our home truck. We know it pretty well. And they had it, so he bought it, and they ran over. They changed their fuel, they changed their tune, they made a pass. It was kind of a shakedown pass. It was in their area. At this point, we were also in the run-all class because Byron was tough. It rained in the morning. We were literally holding our canopies, our tents. The Australians are helping us strap it down on a telephone pole. It was a shit show. But once the rain died, we got on to racing. I think we started racing sometime around 3 or 4 maybe. Either way, our first 2 passes weren't good. They were way out there. And we're like, dude, we got to do it. We've gone this far. We're at our home track, and if we blow up the car, then we blow up the car. So we're going for it. Mind you, we both know we have to race the next 2 days. At this point, we didn't know it was going to get shut down for Sunday. But we make our passes, and our pass was in 11:46, and you'll see it in the video. I'm going to post everything, pictures, videos, everything in a different video. So ran 11:46, which was good enough for an 071 spread. We locked down a 10th spot out of, I think, 104 that finished the DYO class, which I think is pretty good. We went into it just wanting to survive the trip, and we found out that we could be a little bit competitive. And for next year, absolutely, I want to do it. I'm going to do it with a Pontiac. And I think my game plan is going to be just to change the front seats because they do get hot. And I think I'm going to end up taking out the rear seats and making a temporary firewall to carry stuff. And I have enough trunk space, so I'm not going to need a carrier or a trailer. And I think I'm going to end up putting the 427 in here. I got talked into building a 4L80E. And I'm probably going to put 410s on it. With the overdrive, it should be fine around town and even on the highway. Or maybe 390s. I should probably do 390s. Probably put 390s in it. And we'll probably end up putting a truck tire in the back. And putting a good drag radial on these wheels. These Nittos are older. And I know that they have a very short life before they become hard and useless. And usually you don't hear that. But anyway, guys, I hope you've watched this long. It's been quite the saga, and it was an experience. Just do it. Go out and do it. Hit your local track. Go bracket racing. The towns were very accommodating. The crowds along the way, we were like heroes, man. It was awesome. It was an experience that it wasn't work. It was fun. Just an amazing time, and just me and my buddy just cruising and racing. So I hope you guys have stuck around this long, because this is my sick summer story. And it was just great. And that's kind of condensed because there are so many things that were going on, and, but I think the pictures will tell a lot too. So I won't keep it any longer. We'll let you go.